Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to talk about influence, and I want to begin by making the point that when it comes to influence, most of us stink. Most of us find ourselves with David Sedaris. I haven't the slightest idea how to change people, but I keep a long list of prospective candidates just in case I should ever figure it out. So I want to present some little factoids on just how true that is, how poor we are as individuals, as organizations, even as a society, at handling influence. So here's one. This is Arie de Geus. He was a senior leader at Royal Dutch Shell. He now works with MIT, and he studies change and influence within organizations. And sort of the bottom line is half of all companies fail within 12 and a half years. When it comes to influence, as organizations, we're pretty poor at it. Now here's another. This is more societal. 2 out of 3 criminals are rearrested within 3 years. Now, there's a department in this state that manages prisons, right? What's that department called? The Department of Corrections, right? Corrections? How bad is it? It's so bad that in the mid-1980s, California, the governor removed rehabilitation from the mission statement of the Department of Corrections. Now, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected governor, he put it back in. He said, we may not be any good at it, but at least we ought to try. But when it comes to influence as a society, we stink. Here's another. Dieters spend $40 billion a year, and 19 out of 20 lose nothing but their money. When it comes to influencing ourselves, we're terrible, right? Now, Stanford University's medical school did a study just 3 years ago on the 3 most popular diets used in America. And here's what they found. They found that all of them work if you stick to them. But of course, we're unable to stick to the things we care about because we're lousy at influencing ourselves. This one's a little more serious. You know, I believe we need to do all we can to try to find a cure, a vaccine for AIDS, to take the medicines that have been invented and make them accessible and affordable to the world. I believe we should do everything we can as a society to incorporate HIV-positive people into our lives. At the same time, fundamentally, AIDS is a disease that's fostered through human behavior. If we could influence human behavior, we could stop new transmission immediately. Wouldn't that be amazing? Right. But how bad is it? It's so bad 2/3 of people can't even get themselves to floss regularly. Can I get a show of hands? No, never mind. Never mind. I don't want to know these things. Now, I want to present one more of these. This is the one that changed how I think about influence. 2 years after receiving coronary bypass surgery to save their lives, 90% of patients are back to old behaviors. Now, for me, this challenged my implicit, my intuitive notion of how you influence people, and I think it should challenge yours. So I want to share what my sort of intuitive theory was and see how it reflects yours. Okay, here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, if you really want to influence people, you got to start with a good wake-up call. You know, really get their attention. Can you think of a better way to get somebody's attention than a heart attack? Right? Well, apparently that's not good enough. That's what this data suggests. Right? Okay, now here's the second part of my sort of informal theory, was if you want people to change, you have to make them understand that the consequences of not changing are profound. Right? How about if you don't change, you're going to die? Right? Can you get more profound than that? Right? But apparently it's not good enough. Right? Now here's the third part of my sort of implicit model. It was, if you want people to change, you've got to give them a clear roadmap they can follow, like the food they should eat, the way they should exercise, the medications they should take. Well, they do all that. And apparently it's just not good enough. So when it comes to influencing the things we care about most, our models of how to influence people are woefully inadequate. They're just not robust enough. So let me summarize here. I want to argue that the most important capacity you possess as a human being is your ability to influence behavior, your own behavior and that of others. If you think of yourself, if you're in a committed relationship, a part of that is managing your own behavior and influencing your spouse in a way to make a more perfect union. If you're a parent, your full-time job is trying to influence yourself and your children in order to create a happy, healthy, contributing member of society, right? If you work in an organization and they hire you because of your knowledge, your expertise, or your experience, they're assuming that you're going to use those to influence those around you, right? That's why they care. And of course, if you're a leader in an organization, that's your job description. Influence yourself and others to help the organization be more successful. And yet, when it comes to influence, we are woefully inadequate, even in our understanding of how to do it. So what we're going to do the rest of today is we're going to build skills on how to influence, ways that are far more robust. So I'll stop now, and when we come back, we're going to dive into it. Thanks.